Bonnie Ghani, everyone. This is Professor Amin Rahh, Professor Emeritus, California State University, Africana Studies Department, longtime educator for Compton College, as well as Cal State University Long Beach, former city council person for the city of Compton, former Compton College and Compton Unified School District Board of Trustees, along with my co-host, longtime educator for the Compton and Linwood Unified School District in various capacities, administrator, counselor, and just an educator, as well as one that tried to lift the consciousness of the students on the campus and in the community, and a longtime historian on our journey from ancient history up to today. I want to welcome each and every one of you here today. There's so much to talk about, so much to deal with. And I just want to say to everyone, we're glad you tuned in. Sister Linda, Brother E, and Brother Hembrick, and Brother Mashinda, as well as Brother Rashaki Maskani, who is the founder and creator of this platform of the Community Education Network, and provide us this space where we speak truth to the people and then speak truth to power. We want to talk about a few things, but before we do that, there's so much we got to look at from the standpoint of Coco Gauff and her amazing championship run in the U.S. Open tennis, one of the youngest, along with Serena Williams, to win it and beat the number one tennis player. And many Black people saw it not only as her being a great athlete and giving homage to her father and mother, giving homage to her new coaches, and then going down the middle court and getting spiritual, falling on her knees, giving prayer, and all of those things. But I just wanted to see how y'all, if any of you were aware of Coco Gauff's amazing accomplishment in the sport. Brother Mashinda, did you get a chance to see it or hear about it? You there, Brother Mashinda?
Oh yeah, good evening. How you doing, brother?
All right. Did you get a chance?
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I checked it out. I actually watched the semifinals on my phone because I was traveling somewhere, so I had my little phone. But then when I saw the final, it came on. I thought it was she showed me a lot of improvement in her game. You know, I've been following her since she pretty much started, on the main circuit. And so I think from a standpoint of longevity, I think if she stays healthy, she'll go down as one of the best that we've seen, because I've seen a major improvement in her game. And like you say, the young lady that she beat was from Belarus, and she was number 2 in the world at the time, but still, as of Monday, became number 1 in the world because of, that's how they do it. She's probably played more tennis games and won more games, and she won the Australian Open. So she played somebody that's not a joke. Coco went to number 3 in.
Can you hear me, Rashiki?
Yes.
Machine's cut off. Your machine cut off. Okay.
She plays against people worldwide, and how she carries herself, and she's very well spoken, and she don't forget where she came from, and she talks about speaking truth to power, and she talks about, and then like you said recently, how she showed love to her dad, and how a lot of brothers like Kevin Durant and Jimmy Butler, NBA players, and Spike Lee, and different people going there to support her, So it has ramifications on levels you know, it shows that discipline and that tenacity and endurance and things like that. You know, that's what she chose as a profession, and she operates at the highest of levels. So that's what I appreciate the most out of watching it is synergistic in terms of we can uh, take power from that in whatever we do in our lives. You know, how to whatever goals we have. You know, it takes practice, it takes discipline, and something that we got to continue to do while we're on the planet. But that's all I got to say right now.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good. What about you, Linda? How did you see her victory?
Oh, I loved it. And I didn't get to see it, but I've been reading about it. And I have been following her also.
Mhm. That's
And
good.
she is an amazing young woman.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Yeah. What about you, Brother E?
Yeah, I got a chance to see some footage of it. Yeah, she's a great young athlete. Yeah, got to see some footage and also see it. I understand it was a protest there that interrupted the match for a couple of hours, I believe. Someone glued their feet to the surface. I don't know exactly what they was protesting, but I know that occurred. And also the weather was playing. The weather was kind of heating up out there. So it was a
Yeah.
couple of different things going on out
Yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah, that's good, Brother E. Any other points, Brother E?
No, sir.
Okay. Hold on for a minute. Uh, what about you, Brother Joe, from a historian standpoint? How you see it?
Well, I think that feet stuck to the pavement might have been a ploy to throw her off her game. You know, back when not Serena, Venus first played in the U.S. Open, they pulled a stunt like that to throw her off her game because she was whooping the white girls behind. And so that's ploys that the Europeans do to try to stall, to try to get back on their game. But, you know, historical, you know, I go back to Althea Gibson, 1956 when she first hit the scene, you know, whooped them in tennis and then got on the golf course and did the same thing. But what I like to, I don't know if you're gonna get to this, but the most historical sports thing to me was is the plight of Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes and what that's gonna do for black coaches in Division I football. So that's a historical thing also what he's doing.
All right. What about you, Rashiki?
Yeah, I watched. I was able to watch the last few volleys. I caught it right at the end, and it was really pleasing to see that young lady do what she did, that accomplishment, and then also the way she is as a person just makes it much better. You know, she's well raised, well mannered, and shows a lot of humility. So that's what I took from it, and I think that's wonderful. It's getting better. That's what I see.
Yeah. Okay. Brother T. Jones, we talking about Coco Golf.
I think it's a lady.
Oh, Miss T. Jones? Yeah, we talking about Coco Golf's victory at the U.S. Open and what it means.
Professor Ross, I can interrupt. That's my friend Tez Jones on there.
Oh, that's
Tez. She's
Tez
a female, yes.
Tez Jones. How you doing?
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, Tez, we talking about Coco Golf victory. I
Okay.
want to know what you think about it. Did you pay attention to it?
Not really, no.
Okay, well, all right. But you read about it, heard about it, right?
Yes, I've been hearing.
Okay, good. What about you, Rashiki?
Yeah, I just spoke about it, Rahh.
Okay. Well, let me just say this. You know, the European sees black people for sex, entertainment, and and that's mainly it: sex, entertainment, and a sense of exploitation. You know, it's very important for us to get not only a sense of euphoria for a young Black girl to play a game that at one time they wouldn't let Black people play. And Arthur Ashe had to, as a matter of fact, they were playing at Arthur Ashe Stadium. Arthur Ashe was the one that broke the color, the racism against Black people playing tennis, and he broke the stereotype that, you know, we just mainly football, basketball, and some at one time baseball. The thing is that, you know, sometimes we have to look at things and what it means from a standpoint of our condition as Black people. Yes, it's an example of Black excellence and achievement, like Tiger Woods revolutionized golf, Muhammad Ali revolutionized boxing, and Willie Mays and Jackie Robinson revolutionized baseball. And, you know, I'm pretty sure there's going to be Black people that revolutionizing NASCAR driving and revolutionizing ice hockey and things of this nature. Once they get the opportunity, we excel, not only in the area of sports, but in the area of politics, education, and just every aspect of social life, not just in America, but globally. Because when it came to soccer, Pele revolutionized that, even though white, he had to go through a lot of racism and you know, Thea, forget her last name, but she revolutionized women in golf and tennis way back.
Is that Althea Gibson?
Gibson, yeah.
1956.
Yeah, 1956. The point is that, you know, what does it do for us as a people? Besides entertainment, the impact. I mean, like, the way she, first of all, she gave homage to her father and mother, not just the father, but the mother. She went straight to them and thanked them for their support and things of this nature. Now, that's critical because she got both parents. I don't know if they're together, but both parents were there supporting her. That's what's key. Now, to young people, if we can get young people to focus, some young people, not all, to focus on something they love to do, if it's reading, writing, or whatever, but be engulfed in it. I know I wouldn't have never went to college if it wasn't for basketball. And I don't think many of us would have, you know, transcend ourselves from athletes to educators and scholars. But we had to get in to college and understand the politics of sports and the politics of race in America. So she did a thing in which, like, when Obama won the presidency, everybody felt good as Black people. Black people pulling for her, you understand? Because the first game, that way, that Amazon girl beat her real quick. And so everybody thought this was going to be easy. But this sister dug deep and went into the spiritual realm, and she won the next 3 games or 4 games, whatever it is, to give her the victory. But that was very key from the standpoint of Black excellence, as I said. And at the same time, she demonstrated the type of character that many people want their daughters to have, want their sons to have, as far as her articulation and as far as her focus on what she's about and knowing where she was at on a global stage with regards to primetime TV and things of this nature. Now, what could other parents get from that? The importance of using love to work with their youth. Some of the youth. Some parents are doing a great job. I mean, they're there for their kids. They're doing good. But there are many kids that, for whatever reason, choose lifestyles that are problematic for them and problematic for our struggle, because we need everybody on deck to get further out of the Holocaust of enslavement, which we're still in, as Joe would say, because, you know, we're in love with their institutions. And it's one thing to go to work, get your check, and go home and take care of your families and things of this nature. It's another thing to excel in their institutions and then become a part of their institution, and don't raise a sense of consciousness and awareness that even though I won this and even though I'm great at this, I know who I am and I know where I am. And I know that we got Black people suffering all over the world because of these people that just got to clapping for me and yelling for me and things of this nature. But the point is that when it comes to parenting, we have to sometimes have the peripheral thought and vision to use other youth as an example. Like when we were talking about hip hop, some of them brothers put a lot of work in young people. I mean, at one time it was just sports. I mean, there were some singers and young people singing, and Sammy Davis and tap dancing and all those young groups. You know, most of the groups were young. And they really worked hard with their voices and entertainment and dancing and things of this nature. But most young men saw sports as their way out of their poverty. But at the same time, many of them that did do sports, once they were successful, some of them did not give back or did not live a Black conscious life. You know, you married white women, they got hooked on drugs, they did things, and things of this nature. But can we extrapolate from her victory any tools that that parents could use to help raise their children, not to be great tennis people, but and that would be good if they got the money and they got the time and they got the coaches, but to be conscious Black people, conscious about what's going on in the world, what's going on in wherever Black people are, and where they are in America from a realistic standpoint. At the same time, she was winning the championship. There was white people plotting to in Alabama to suppress the Black vote by gerrymandering. Even when the court told them they had to give it up and have two Black people in politics, I mean, two Black districts to elect their own representative, they still fighting it, you understand? And not only that, you know, they have waiting 4 and 5 hours in Black communities to vote. And I mean, throughout our history, that's been a struggle. But the struggle is not only that. The struggle is the many Black people or African-American youth that don't even know who their local politicians are. That's more. When they get 18, they don't say, hey, I'm gonna register so I can deal with the politics, or I'm gonna go to college, or I'm gonna go to learn a vocation. Some of them just think that they can make it, you know, in the street life type thing. You see young girls out selling their bodies, and there's somebody's daughter, somebody's niece, somebody's cousin, and then at the same time, young brothers who think that you can make it being a gangster, being a street hustler, may it be gambling, may it be insurance fraud, may it be dealing drugs and things of this nature. So what I'm trying to get at is that in tonight's discussion, what is the vision that we have, y'all have for our future? Because as the song says, I believe the children are our future, you know, as Whitney would say. And if they are our future, how do you think we can extrapolate within this maze, in this fog web of the confusion of a society that sometimes drives some of our youth in a direction that the system exploits and put them in prison for 30, 40 years, put them in, you get them hooked on these new synthetic drugs, get them not interested in politics, and at the same time, some of them even kill some of their own brothers and sisters and children, either by accident, shooting at somebody else and missing, or even intentionally. So the discussion tonight is, what are some of the fundamentals that any of you that's listening on can we extrapolate from the greatness of Black performance in sports, entertainment, you know, and intellectual achievement? How do we grab that and inject it into the minds of many of our young people? We ain't gonna get them all, but some of you have been successful parents, and they don't focus on the father and mother that got their daughter in medical school, like Joe Hembrick, Brother Rashaki, who got his daughter up there in Oregon, I think, or somewhere, and getting an education.
I can start this one off, Professor.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, it's a few things that we could take from Coco Gauff and you mentioned some of them. The parents were right there together. I think I've heard, if I heard correctly, that the father spent many times with her working on her craft. I guess he was her first coach and probably continues to coach her. So that's the parents being hands-on. Then the way she behaves, the humility, the articulation of speech, her ability to express spirituality in a positive way. And then we as educators, as community people, we have to be examples of what we want the young people to be. We can't live contradictory lifestyles and expect our children and children that's around us to do things they're supposed to do. If you're telling them to do something and then, or don't do something, and then you turn around doing it and you say, I'm grown, it's still a contradictory, you know, and there's many examples that could be given to that point. Mm-hmm. And I always encourage parents and other educators, because we have educators that have children that's not doing well in school. But I always encourage parents to sit with their children and be hands-on when it comes to homework, anything that they're doing, be hands-on when it comes to their extracurricular activities. Basically, when you have the children, you have to stop doing things that you normally do for yourself and be involved with them and be there for them consistently on almost a 24-hour basis. So there's things that we do. We need to also, like you was mentioning earlier, Professor Rahh, we take on the oppressor's way of living which is a contradictory way of living. Like you're going to college all day, and this is a lot of college students. Then at night you go and party, drink, and have drugs. It's like you're building mentally. Then all of a sudden, you're doing things that don't make sense at all. And this is the behavior of our society and the oppressor's behavior. You can't be on both sides of the fence. If you're gonna live clean, live clean. And we have to, people that are conscious and aware of what they should be doing need to do it. And get help doing it, like coming to platforms like ours, thinking about what you actually doing and start evaluating your behavior. And that's people that has the ability to think. And that these are things we have to start doing. But I'll leave it right there and let somebody else talk.
All right, Brother Mashinda. Are you there, Mashinda?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it was already covered, as far as, the benefits of, we're speaking of Coco Golf and her exploits and what she's doing, her achievements and things like that. And Brother Rasaki and myself and I think a few others have pretty much spelled it out, as far as, yourself, as far as how she got there. I mean, our interpretation.
What happened?
I could apply her story in a classroom situation. Today, I addressed a nursing class. They were having some behavioral issues. There was some of them a little disrespectful to the teacher. A lot of them are struggling for different reasons. And so I had to come down there and address the class, talk about disrespect. I was looking at a documentary on Ruth Simmons. She was the, first Black woman. She was a president of Brown University, Ivy League school. Somebody who didn't forget where she came from. In her testimony on this documentary, she was basically, and I was just looking at I was looking at her achievement in that, and so I compare it like with Coco growing up. Coco's a Ruth Simmons, I guess, in the early stages, meaning that understanding at an early age, it might not know totally because it takes life experiences to really get where you're going. You can achieve in the sport, but as far as sustaining it throughout your life, I mean, of course, she has a good foundation in terms of, like, say, discipline and hard work and those types of things. But getting caught up in bad relationships and other things that might come her way, so she has to keep those good things like Rasaki was talking about, keep things in front of her that's going to keep her to let her have some longevity as far as, her success, not just in tennis, but in her life, throughout her life. But I mentioned Ruth Simmons, I can mention Fannie Lou Hamer, I can mention Coco Golf, as far as, their willingness I don't want to put one more important than the other. Of course, we can weigh things out and what each one of these individuals done in their lives, and have an opinion about that. But I just, like I say, I draw on those personalities as far as examples of truth, and use them as examples of, like I say, discipline, respect, and so forth. So addressing these young ladies in particular today, of course, I didn't bring up Coco Golf, but I use other examples, about preparation, because they want to blame somebody else. But, we can blame all day, but did you do your homework? Have you been reading? And some of you guys have reading problems. So let's identify that, it's a possibility. So let's break it down to the lowest common denominator, try to fix our issues, So I say all that to say that, these are role models in their own way. Of course, sports, like you say, can be reviewed as as a exploitation and what have you. But at the end of the day, me personally, I don't, these folks are getting paid, and these folks are able to invest in their own families and communities if they choose to do so as a resource to their community, to their family. So it's all good because everybody is trapped in this European society as we talk about. Every move you make, it's you paying taxes. You're doing something in the European. It's a European system. So unless you're up in the mountains like a monk living off the land and off the grid, then you everybody's in the syndrome. So it's just it's how we survive it. Because me personally, I mean, Europeans are around me, but they're not part of my daily psyche. They're there, but they're I'm above that. Not better, but I rise above that. Coco rises above the BS. That's why she's successful, and she's not going to be intimidated. And she didn't back down, like you said, Brother Rahh, as far as digging in and taking her game to another level. It's like Brother Hembrick mentioned Deion Sanders. His it's next level things that are happening that's coming out of it. It's more than just football. It's some other things that are happening that's coming out of that, and we're just living in a transition right now. And so, but I don't have more to add as far as be this obvious the benefits. I think I spoke on it earlier, but I'm just saying it's a lot. It's a lot to take from that as far as just her as a person. Again, it's like if you have whatever you're doing in life, if you can apply that discipline and that tenacity and that whole perspective, and then of course, like I said, she has a higher faith, whether it's Christianity or Islam or the sun or whatever. She believes that there's something outside of her, and that she's not in control. She's in control, but there's a higher entity out there, and it's just a matter of your interpretation or what you believe, and I'm not going in that direction tonight, but at the same time, I think she's, the new generation, this generation, whatever letter they are, hey, man, it's like they're fearless, and I can appreciate that. That's all.
Yeah, but you made some good points, Lashenda, because just like her father's coached her in tennis, they also coached her in character. And most people are looking at her sports ability, and they don't give enough deference and honor for the type of person that she presented herself as from a standpoint of character. And many parents, they let the kids, some of them, let the kids just go and do things and learn from others rather than them. But part of parenting is coaching. You have to coach your kids to be a good kid. Martin Luther King said the weapon to get rid of bad behavior is love, the power of love. He said, violence, of course, but at the same time, you want your children to love you more than they love the streets or love the bully or love someone that don't represent the best of being Black and African in the world. And so, you do a lot of coaching, but that takes parents with a vision of how they want their children to turn out. When I came up, my mother and father, my father finished the 3rd grade, my mother finished the 6th grade. They never asked me about homework, and my father, at one time, Black people just signed their names with X's and Y's or the first letter of their name because they couldn't read and write. And so, many of us went to school to get a job back in the 50s, and the high school diploma was like a college degree. and then learning a skill because you want to help your family or you want to move out and get your own place or whatever. But the most important thing was to get a job. And it took struggle to open up other avenues that lead to a sense of economic prosperity and social notoriety and things of this nature. But you don't want them to get lost in that lifestyle. Some people get lost in like that boy for Joe Morant, I mean, waving a gun out the car, multimillionaire and superstar, and the parents probably took him to every game and coached him, brought him the best coach for basketball. But you got to teach him character and values. And you as a parent have to have some yourself, as Rashaki was saying. It's not just not living a contradicting life, that you're going to make sure that your children don't kill nobody or don't get hooked on drugs as much as you can by being involved in their lives. I don't care if you have 12 kids or one. You have to be the dominant factor in their lives. Okay, Brother E, what type of perspective you have on, because you're young and you were really into the hip hop at the last show, and you know all the singers and stuff like that. How do you think we can get youth to focus on character and values, if you think that's important?
I definitely think it's important, and I have yet to figure that out myself, because I try to talk with people younger than me, try to talk to them and coach them. But it's a disconnect somehow. I've not been able to connect with them. Yeah, personally myself, I come from a single household with just my mother raising me. My father wasn't there. He was around, but he wasn't in my household. And I had to go to alternative sources, such as I had a great high school coach that coached me football. And not only did he show me skills in football, he showed me life skills, not only me, but the whole team. He talked to us, as almost a father, an elder in the community. He gave us, great tips about life, and many of us took that in. But, once we leave, the facility we're at and return back to, our house or, where are we going at that point, we're around these other kids, like us with no fathers, maybe mothers at work. And, we're just out, hanging out amongst each other, pretty much no supervision, So, that's the idle time, and even though, this coach then taught me all the right things to do, or, how to react, and, gave me advice, it was the people that was hanging around within my community that we were all doing the same thing by not having, a male around, or, someone with the knowledge around that could, guide us. So, we kind of develop our own ideas, our own train of thought. And like I say, even though we know it's not right to do, our minds kind of wander and do different things that we should not be doing. Not that we don't know any better. It just, just not caring, because, me, myself, I kind of live destructive, as far as, being young and coming up, because I never envisioned I would live past 21. Then once, once I became, 21, it's like, okay, I made it here, but, I'm not going to be on the streets, I'll be off the streets, in prison by the time I'm 25. Just that attitude, I had, that, said, all these things against me, instead of trying to fight it and try to figure a way out, try to improve my situation, you constantly go down this rabbit hole of, doing this and trying things out, and, really not figuring it out. So it took me time, the more I lived, I wasn't going to jail, wasn't, getting in any trouble. I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? I done wasted these years so far, my 20s and stuff like that. Thinking I was going to be here and not taking things, seriously. And it comes to a point like, okay, I'm at this age, or what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? So it's like, you're behind these other people, and you're just trying to figure it out. And that's one reason why I'm here. I had great mentors around me, like Coach Joe. So I'm just still trying to figure it out myself, and I'm trying to do whatever I do to learn and further myself so I can help my community out, and so I can know what to do to the youth coming up behind me.
Well, I just want to say, brother, you're a good example for the young people around you. Your character, how you present yourself on this show, and I know if Joe Hembrick was your coach, historian Joe, that you got the message and things. But it's just good to see that you're consistent about studying and learning how to be a better person, and that's what we want to get as many youth as we can to get to, and we have to learn. We take our mistakes and use them as learning tools. What drove me, like you were saying, what drove you to do the things you were doing that you weren't proud of what you were doing when the coaches wasn't around and your parents wasn't around?
It just sorry, just bad decisions, as far as, when you got people thinking like you, with terrible thoughts, it's kind of, the people you're around is kind of how you're gonna be. So we didn't have no good thoughts, we just think about coming up, how we gonna get money, get us out of the situation that we're living at, how we gonna get this money to, buy shoes or, buy whatever, how we gonna do it, and I took a different route, because I had other men in my life, give me positive examples, and by what I see my father go through and what he done, I wanted to be the total opposite. So therefore, I started working real early. I started working when I was like 7 years old. I kind of been working ever since. And I just want to improve myself, improve, situation for people my age, the younger generation, just, whatever I can do for my Black community, I'm trying to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, at this present time, I do a lot of, I wouldn't say volunteering, but I have a lot of gifts and different supplies I give to Black businesses. And, I'm just out talking in the community every day.
That's good, brother. We appreciate that too. Because we all got to be on deck. And all the children are our children, especially the Black children. And they got to see you as you saw some of the men in your life as positive influence. You got to be one, as Rashiki was saying. Sister Linda, and you're doing some great parenting with your daughter. So go ahead. Are you there?
I know I'm trying, and I was just listening to what he was saying. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
and I'm just gonna kind of sum it up because you first asked about Coco Golf. And my whole thing, I was listening to what everybody else was saying, which I agree with 90% of everything which y'all was saying. But I was summing it up. You have to have faith. You have to have family. Even though, like the brother was just talking about, some of his coaches was his like extended family. It may not be your biological family. So faith, family, and staying focused on whatever your goal is.
Yeah,
and then also support. That's the main thing, your support group.
Yeah, but you keep your daughter busy.
I try to.
And you keep her in activities, and you reward her for excellence. And you got your mother helping, and your brother Reggie Muhammad.
Yes.
So they're all. I mean, y'all are family. I mean, I can just tell. Your sisters, all of y'all reinforce each other with values and be the rock that people need. You need a rock to lean on sometimes because you go through trouble, challenges, but you never give up.
Oh no, you can't.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Miss Jones, you still there, Miss Jones?
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. Any ways you think that we can sort of be a better coach and better influencer of our young people and from the excellence that we have around us?
Yes, well, it's about the building the relationship, because young folks or old folks, no one really cares what you know until they know that you care. So
Mm-hmm.
once you can establish a reasonably comfortable rapport and relationship with our youth, be it our own children or in whatever respect that we're interacting with children, when we get them to feel comfortable with us, you will be surprised what they will open up. You don't. It's not like pulling teeth, to get them to communicate with you. And communication, that is the key to imparting wisdom from us as older people into our youth.
Well, that's a good point that you got. It's all about relationships, being able to relate to them and them being able to relate to you. Because they came to this earth through a relationship. Relationships are the key to positive communication and being able to really become a hero or heroine to them as young people, because they realize the sacrifices you went through to keep them afloat and to keep them going. So you're 100% correct about relationships and things of this nature. Brother Joe?
Yes, sir. I just like to say on the youth, especially with your children, uh, you know, youngsters are like a sponge. That first 5 years is so important in their lives. I always try to keep mine exposed to as many things as I could. Music, mathematics, agriculture, values, how to focus, uh, especially when you're in the classroom. And I was talking to mine I was talking and reading to her before she even came out. Stories to her when she was still in her mama's belly. And you have to be there as support, because sometimes they don't feel as confident. You have to be there to provide that for them all the time. And I tell some young parents that when them kids come into the world, your life is over. You have to devote your time to them. I can't recall the number of music lessons I was taking my daughter to. She started out with the piano, then she went to the violin, and then she went to the flute. And I would take her to that stuff. I wouldn't leave her with the teacher, because you got to watch some of them sometimes. So I'd always be there. I might offer some, but I'm still in the room. And I had her in all kind of sports. So I had her on a boys basketball team, although she was a girl. She played flag football. I remember one time this little kid lived next door. He was a heck of a basketball player. And I had her guard him one day, just guard him. I said, don't try to shoot him, just try to guard him, play defense. And then when she got in the game of her own team, she did exactly that. I was like, dang, she picked that up right quick. Everybody can't be Kobe, but you can play defense or rebound or something like that. And then further on in her sports career, she went out for the rowing team. Never been in a boat, never none of that. And she made the team and then ended up getting a gold medal at the end of the 3 years she was doing it. They had a very, strenuous work schedule. They had to get up at 5:30 in the morning and go to the boathouse and out there rowing. And when they weren't in the water, they were in the gym doing exercises. And they had to practice on Saturday also. So you didn't have a whole lot of time, to lose time to, fool around. I had her playing golf. Just exposure, because you never know what your kid is gonna take to. So expose them to as much as you can. I would take her to the Science Center, the Natural History Museum, all of that. When she was coming along. And I'm so proud of Brother E. I remember when he was a youngster, his mom asked me to help, with him. He was kind of getting a little out there. I had to snatch him in his collar one time, him and his brother. But, they turned out okay. Proud of. But, you got to have somebody there, because I know when I was 10, police killed my father. So I always gravitated to the older gentlemen in the neighborhood. And they would give me game about life, what to do, what not to do, what goes around comes around. And one important thing I learned from most of the elderly brothers is a man is only as good as his word. Keep your word. If you can't keep it, let the person know that you can't and that, something else is coming. That's a lost art with black men, I think, is keeping your word. Your word is your bond. And I tried to live by that. Taught my players that, because I was a little screw up when I was coming along in high school. And wasn't for Miss Leatrice Jones and Maxine Kemp, telling where I would ended up. So I try to pass those lessons on to the boys and the girls that I've taught about life. I taught them about land ownership and all this kind of relationships and all of that. So, worked out well. I can't hardly go anywhere in town, just like you, Professor Rahh, where don't nobody, if people don't know you, people come up to you. You might not remember them, but they're like, I had that experience yesterday. I was in the grocery store, a guy said, "Hey, coach," and I couldn't remember where. I said, "What school?" He said, "Centennial." So I remembered his face, but I didn't know his name. So I think the old school values, our kids need that, especially these young ladies. I think they need to be with their grandmas that can teach them how to cook, teach them how to take care of a household. That's going to be a lost art, I think. The young girls don't know that they can't boil an egg, most of them. Grandmas, they was putting it down, and brother, from from our family, we used to always be together on holidays. Everybody, about 100 people, everybody cooking and bringing something, and we socializing and all that. And that's something I'm trying to get together with the men in my family, so that we can know each other. Because a lot of the youngsters, I don't even know their names. I met some of them at a recent picnic, and I asked them if they knew who I was. That they didn't know who I was, but they knew my name. Kind of getting a start with them, but like I say, with kids, it's exposure and let them find their own way. I never try to steer my daughter anyway. I just expose her to a lot of stuff and let her choose her own way, in which she's done quite well up to this point. So
yeah, but Joe, you said something key. You really, when you were coming up, you were doing things that you taught the kids that after you've grown up not to do, that they shouldn't do, and that's the key, because many of us have a tendency to don't want the youth to make the same mistakes we made. That's a key element. And then with Brother E, you showed him that you cared about him. It wasn't about, I'm just teaching you this because it's because of my religion or because of it makes me feel good. I want you to understand that I care and I want you to make it through life. And that's what you taught all your coaches. But the beautiful thing is your daughter's in medical school. I remember I caught her on TV doing rowing, and she was the only Black person out there rowing that boat at Loyola, And that's a beautiful thing because you put time in. The most valuable thing you can give children is your time. And then at the same time, you get time for positive development. To go into medicine, to have a daughter go into medicine, which is one of the most meticulous fields and difficult fields because of the math and because of the chemistry and because of the anatomy all the way through college. And then you have to do that internship. And at the same time, just being a good person. She's a good person. And, when you pick her up at the airport, you all hang. That's a beautiful thing. You've been, and see, we got to teach that type of parenting to single mothers, single fathers, encourage it. That their role is not just to feed children and be an ATM pool, but to getting to them to have a vision for their future. Like Brother E was saying, hey, I didn't want to go to prison. I didn't want to go to jail. I didn't, because he saw so many people around him possibly going. And so, it's about the future, and your future. Teaching them to be mature in their decision making. And not afraid to tell the group, no, y'all go here, I'm going home. Not because you're afraid that you'll get in trouble, but because you don't want to do that, And that's a different dynamic. Brother Rashaki? Rashaki?
Yes.
Okay, what's your perspective?
Well, I'm just listening to everybody, and I think everybody is making valid points and contribution to the subject matter. And from what I heard, this show need to be studied by other people, because I think there's a lot of great points made by every individual. And I'm really impressed with Brother E, his tenacity to hang out with us, to give his input, to be open about his life and what he was doing. And, it's just a wonderful thing for me to hear Brother E, being the youngest person on here. And it's just, I'm just amazed at what happens here. And hopefully soon we can get Miss Tess Jones to be a guest, because Linda expressed it in what she brought to the table already with the relationships. Mm-hmm. That's very important in education and in life. So yeah, I'm just ecstatic by the commentary this evening.
Yeah, but you've done a great job with your children too, brother. Someone into business and the other in the college, and you and your wife have done a great job. I went to your house, everything is just immaculate. And, you kept them afloat. See, the thing is stability. See, many women want stability. I don't care how wild they are. You understand? When they get ready to have that baby, they got to stop. You understand? And they want stability, and children need stability. They need to know the house gonna be there. They ain't got to move every month because the rent not paid. They don't want to have to go through life being cut off, or only thing in the refrigerator is ice water. They want stability and a sense of caring, but you got to let them know that they have to appreciate it by not being a problem. Last thing you want to do is go to 9 months with a child. Can't sleep on your stomach and got to sleep on your back. And then when the baby come out, the last thing you want to do is have to go to, when they get older, go to the prison to visit them. Go to, sometimes it ain't their fault, but at the same time, you don't want to see them dropping out of school and not doing their best in school. And, and so it's work. And so the fundamental thing for parenting is to get in physical shape. Because it takes a lot of energy and tenacity to keep up with young people. So you want to, as a parent, get yourself together. Be strong, be alert, be physical, and in shape. And an example of taking care of your body, as Joe and Rashaki would say, be nutritionist. Don't give them junk food all the time, and tell them why. Educate them. Most of these kids don't know McDonald's is just like cigarettes. You end up with colon cancer or stomach cancer. You eat that all the time. And the people ain't gonna tell you that this is bad for you. Most people that own them places don't even eat there. They know that the meat and the stuff is to make money off of, not to give nourishment and nutritionists. Salt and sugar, get them hooked on it. A big gulp soda pops and 7-Eleven and all that type of stuff. But you got to educate them. Say, no, you don't want to drink all that. You understand? That's dye in there, and that will turn your organs to the same color that you drinking.
Professor Rahh.
Yeah.
Let me interject, because you just said something about the soda. Today in class, we had a kid in the honors class, and he had a soda that he wanted to drink. And I asked him, I said, how often you drink that, drink soda? He said about every day. And it was one of those big gulps that you just mentioned. And I had to mention that. I said, did you know that when you drink soda, a lot of soda, it's a lot of sugar. And I said, having a lot of sugar, constant drinking of sodas and sugar in your body, I said, it contributes to illness. And he said, that sounds bad. I said, well, illness is bad. So it's just, it's amazing, the things that's being discussed here and how it's so relative to everything. But go ahead, Professor Rahh.
Yeah. The most important thing is you be in good physical and mental and spiritual and ethical shape yourself. You understand? As you were saying, Rashki, you don't want to be a contradiction to your children. What stopped me from doing a lot of stuff, in college, I was doing all kinds of stuff. When I started teaching Black studies, I started teaching youth what not to do. Then I had to stop doing what I was doing because it sounded good to me, like I was teaching myself. And so, I stopped all madness, even chasing women, you understand, and seeing young girls as somebody's daughter, somebody's auntie, no matter how provocative their dress was. I would tell them, you need to cover up, sister, and same thing with brothers. Brothers, don't call her an itch with a B. And I taught the students like they were my children and what I taught them. And my point is that you as a parent, first physical shape, spiritual and ethical, and all of that goes together. When you're in shape, it's holistic. It's not just the physical. It's the consciousness and the awareness and and the vision that you have for the child. And that's what Joe was saying. He took his daughter to different events just to see which one she's going to really take hold to, or just to expose her from a knowledge standpoint, to not be afraid to go to college and to sit up there in these schools with other kids and from all around the world when you go to university and you excel. You see, so that's it. The other thing is you got to educate yourself. You know, most of us raise our children the way our parents raised us, which is fine, some of the things. But you're in a different generation. I mean, when we was coming up, me and Joe and other, you know, white pork with a fifth of wine with lemon juice in it, and a little weed here and there, Red Devils. Well, they got drugs now that'll kill you. I mean, crack, fentanyl. I mean, you have to educate yourself. So when documentaries come on or educational programs come on, instead of watching Basketball Wives and all them, Bachelorette, educate yourself to what youth are doing, the statistics and the data and the language that they're using. Because, some parents, they don't even know what the kids be talking about when they're talking gang talk. They don't know what the kids are talking about when they're talking drug deals and drug utilization. And they're just unaware that some kids are getting high right in the house. And you got to be really sharp as a parent and educate yourself to the youth language, the youth habits, negativities, so that you can teach them positive. So physical fitness, education, from the standpoint of that. And then at the same time, you got to you got to have a loving relationships, as Miss Jones was saying. And you got to be able to relate to the children. And I like her point. Before you can get them to care, you got to show them that you care, and things of that nature. And so those are elements that go into parenting, because you don't want to bury your child, and you don't want to lock them out the house because they're tripping. So you try to, the best cure to any problem is prevention, and so you monitor them. I know I was rough on my kids. They couldn't leave the block. They couldn't walk. I walked to school, but they never had to walk. You understand? They were driven to school and they were picked up, and we was on time. Nobody being late. You understand? Because I didn't want them to be subject to have to run home because gangs chasing them. Cause I knew where we were living. We still lived in Compton. I still stay here. Me and whoever the neighbors are. But at the same time, they have grown and gotten some nice neighborhoods and things of this nature and moved out. And that's their right. You understand? I chose to stay here. I could have committed class suicide, and moved into a middle class neighborhood, but this is my base, and I believe that you can raise your children anywhere if you raise them. You understand? And I was comfortable here because this is where I grew up, and I can feel the vibe, and I can know the people, and I just felt that no matter where you are, if you're doing the right thing, you can survive. And so those are just three things that you have to be able to have a loving relationship. I mean, as soon as your kids get older, you stop kissing them and hugging them. When they're babies, I love you. Oh, look at them dance. Yeah, all that stuff. But then when they get older, you get more distance. Never, always. the same way the person got you to love them by rapping to them and telling them you love them and kissing them and saying, hey, be careful, make sure you come home, call me when you get where you're going and call me, showing that you care for them. That's very important. Being able to relate. And I'm glad Ms. Jones brought that up because most people, they lose their relationship with their children. And so those are just some of the dynamics. I just want to say, all of y'all have made an excellent contributions to the night discussion. And I wanted to say that, we take the best of character from Coco Gauff. Not just her tennis skills, because everybody can be a great tennis player. Everybody can be a great golf player, baseball, basketball. But you can be the Tiger Woods of math. You can be the Coco Gauff of English and writing and foreign languages. There are other avenues that you can excel in, but you got to find a love. You got to teach your children and say, hey, what do you want to do? Where you see you're going to be, you're 16, 17, where you going to be at 25? You got a plan. And that's what Martin Luther King said, what is your blueprint? When he was speaking to young people, you got to come up with a blueprint for your life. And so all of y'all have contributed immensely to good ideas and concepts to parenting and to taking greatness, not just being a great athlete or a great entertainer. Michael Jackson, you couldn't beat him in entertainment, but character. He get an F, the same way with James Brown, great at entertainment, but he character-wise, he gets an F. I'm not putting them down because they did or something like that, but y'all know the things that they were doing and that led to their deaths. Tupac got popped at 25 years old, 24 years old. Biggie got popped. You understand? I like Biggie. I used to love the groove with Biggie, you understand? But he didn't even get to be 30 because he was living a life that was in contradiction to what he was singing about. He was trying to live the life he was singing about. And you got to get your kids out of fantasy land. It's one thing to want to be something. It's another thing to what it takes to be that. You understand? It's another thing to want to be something, but it's another game to get to be that. Kids say, I want to be a doctor. Yeah, but are you ready to go to school and do it? That takes a lot of math and a lot of science. Then all of a sudden they don't want to be a doctor. But you got to tell them the truth. But anyway, we want to thank all y'all. What we got going tomorrow, Rashiki? Take us on home. Unless somebody else got a burning comment they want to make. Okay, go ahead, Rashiki.
Okay, well, tomorrow we got Brother Mills coming back, and he's a naturopathic consultant in Compton at the health food store. He does iridology now, and he gives good advice on the type of herbs that you need to take to help certain things that's going on with you health-wise. And he always I kind of consult him now, so he's going to be a guest again. This will be his third visit, and looking forward to that. And that's what we have going tomorrow.
And that's important.
Yeah.
Most of our parents did not teach us nutrition. We came up on chitlins, red beans and rice and salt with chili dogs and with all that type of stuff. And we didn't raise our children to think about what they were eating. And that don't mean they're going to live a long time if they eat right. Because, you know, anything could happen, you know. But I'm glad the brother's coming. I hope all y'all tune in. Because you may learn something that you could give to these young people to get them off of them fast foods, pizzas on top of pizza, and you know, just you get Frosted Flakes and they put sugar in it. You understand? They already got sugar in it. You understand? And so we want to teach them. But you can't teach them what you don't know, because they're gonna ask you questions. And you know, you gotta say, hey, look, you know, you don't want to be a diabetic. You don't want to be this. You don't want to be that. And you got to be able to answer those questions from a nutritional standpoint. This brother is coming on tomorrow. That's all he does is study nutrition. And yeah, he's going to tell you to eat herbs and do that. But you can just teach people how to eat in moderation. And it's important to keeping that weight off of them. And it's important to keeping their exercises and things of that nature. So anyway, Rashiki, go ahead.
All right, so we're gonna take our pause. Each one teach one, Conscious Corner. And thanks for coming out. Have a good evening.
All right then. Take care, brother.